If you've been following my channel for a while now, you might be saying, Ben, I want to make money. I want to drive the Range Rover. I want to go on the unlimited vacations. I want just a couple $100 extra a month. Take a little pressure off. You talk about investing in real estate. You talk about managing these properties. You may be telling me all those things, but now you say, Ben, I don't even know where to start. This video is perfect for you. I designed this video to be perfect for the first time beginning real estate investor. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you to all the subscribers that have been subscribing. I'm a relatively newish channel. I started posting a long time ago, but started doing these videos, and I'm getting a lot more subscribers. So thank you for subscribing. But if you're not subscribed, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. How to real estate invest for beginners. Step number 1. Buy the property. Now, this is a real estate investing video. This is just for investing in real estate. So I'm not going to tell you how to buy the property, how to find an agent, because I made a step-by-step video of how to buy a primary residence or a rental property, and I'm going to link that right up here. And I also made a video how to find a real estate agent. I just posted that one. I'm going to link that up here as well. So that's step number 1. Find yourself a good agent who also invests in real estate, but buy the property, and that's where the fun begins. Now, spoiler alert here. Step 2 through 7, you could hire a property management company to do. But in today's day and age, it's really hard to hire a property manager because you're not making as much money. And second thing, I actually think property management companies are terrible, absolutely terrible. 90% of them are absolutely terrible. So step 2 through 7, you can have a property management company do, but I highly recommend doing it yourself. So within step 2 is managing the rental yourself. So you've bought the property, you're ready to manage the property yourself. What do you got to do? Well, you got to get it rent ready. This might include doing some touch-up paint. This might include replacing some flooring or just cleaning the floors. Cleaning carpets can do a ton in a rental, because remember, this is a rental. There are going to be people living in it. It doesn't have to be pristine, but you want it to be nice. So do all those small little projects to get the place show ready. Now, once it's show ready, you have to take professional photos. And I cannot stress this enough. Take professional photos. I'm going to show you right now the difference between some Joe Schmo who did it himself and somebody who hired a professional photographer. So here we go. This is in Lakeville, Minnesota. This is my hometown. And so I'm going to show you just a couple right here. This one. All right. This, all right, you take the look at the first photo. It's actually not too bad. This is just a guy managing it himself. So he took a photo. Look, first of all, as soon as you pull up that photo, look how far back you feel. You feel really far back. And then you go from kitchen to backyard, and then kitchen, living room. Okay, where is this? Is this downstairs? Is this upstairs? Oh, kitchen again. So this is why I think it's so important to do professional photos, is because you get actual professional photography. It looks so much better, and most of the time professional photographers will put it kind of in an order. When people look at a house, they want to get a vibe for, hey, how does it live? When I walk in, what am I looking at? And just kind of go on its own tour, rather than, hey, I'm just going to upload some random photos in any order that I possibly want. So that was just some random guy who's managing himself. Now I wanted to show you this one. This is actually a management company, which I think is ridiculous, because look at this first photo. First of all, who is taking a photo in the winter, and you're taking a photo when you've shoveled half the driveway? It is such a poor presentation for the very first photo. And again, you're using a wide angle, probably iPhone photo here. This isn't the worst photo in the world, but it's also not the best, okay? It kind of makes the place look dark, dingy. They didn't even open up the shades here. This is my point that I brought earlier. Most management companies are really bad. That is a management company. Somebody is paying for this guy to advertise this property, and these are the photos that you get. So that's why I'm a big believer. Manage your first couple properties yourself. I managed my first 10 by myself until I hired a management company, because you're going to learn so much more doing this yourself rather than relying on a manager. Now you're saying, okay, Ben, you've showed me not what to do. What is a good rental? Great question, and I'm going to show you right now. This one. This is great photos. These are some great photos. If you look at, okay, very clearly, this is a professional photographer. See how when they take the photo, it puts you in the living room? When you take a wide angle iPhone photo, it takes you out of the living room. And so these are great photos, great photographer, and you can actually look, and if you look, yeah, it's listed by a management company. So this is actually a halfway decent management company. So long story short, manage it yourself, but if you're gonna hire a property manager, make sure they're taking professional photos, because as you can see, it makes a big difference. Step 3, advertise for rent. I get the question all the time, where do I advertise for rent? My rule of thumb, no such thing as bad publicity. I want my rental on every site that I can possibly get it on. So I personally use TurboTenant. TurboTenant is a rental management property software, and the reason I like TurboTenant is because it's free to use for your first one. Second of all, it syndicates to a bunch of different sites, and I'll actually show you that right now. All these, apartments.com, forrent.com, For Rent University, Redfin, Zillow, all the big ones, realtor.com, Rent, all that kind of stuff. So TurboTenant is a great tool. I use it for all my rental properties, for all 20 of my rental properties. And if you want, there is a sign up link down below. You get a free $25 gift card if you sign up through it. So might as well get some free money. But here's the thing, there's tons of management property sites out there. Get one that's solid. You could go straight to Zillow, but then it only advertises on Zillow. I like going to a site where it's going to advertise on multiple areas. Step 4, show to potential renters. So this is TurboTenant's help page. Which listing sites will TurboTenant post my property to? So once you've been advertising your rental for a while, you've taken the professional photos, you're going to start getting messages of people saying, hey, I want to see this. Hey, I want to see this. When I was early in my career, I would just say, yep, let's go see it. And I wouldn't pre-screen them at all. And then I wasted a ton of time. So what I do is I pre-screen all my potential renters. If somebody says, hey, I'm interested in this, can I go see it? I just do a few basic questions. My basic pre-screening questions are, number 1, how long of a lease are you looking for? If somebody's looking for a 3-month lease, I don't want them. If somebody's looking for a year-long lease, I want them. I don't want to do all of this work placing a tenant and having less than a year-long lease. The second question I ask is, do you know our pet policy? My personal pet policy, I don't do a pet deposit, and some people really appreciate that, but I will do monthly pet rent. $75 per month per pet. Now, there can be some give and take here, but I have had people who have asked, can I rent from you with 3 dogs? And I say, yep, that's fine. $75 per month per pet, an extra $225 a month. Is that something you're wanting to do? Some people are okay with it. Some people are like, it's a little hefty for me. First of all, if you have 3 dogs, just buy a house. Don't rent. Third question that I always ask for pre-screening is, have you ever had an eviction on your record? Because here's the thing, I'm going to get a background check on every renter that I ever do, and that eviction record is going to come up. And so I tell them, like, hey, do you have an eviction on your record? If they lie to me, I find out they're lying, I will never rent to them. But always ask that up front, because if somebody has an eviction on their record, chances are I'm not going to rent to them again. And the last question I ask is about, what do you make per month? And the reason why I do that, I want to make sure that they are making at least 3 times what the rent amount is. So for easy math, if I have a rental that's on the market for $1,000 a month, I want to make sure they're making at least $3,000 a month, because I don't want to show potential renter a house that they can't even afford. And lastly, this is the pro tip when it comes to showing rentals. I stack up my showings back to back to back to back. Why do I do this? Because number 1, I used to just say, okay, when do you want to see it? They said, I'm available Thursday at 5 p.m. Then I went out, just did one showing at 5 p.m. Sometimes they would no show. It was a big waste of time. So now when somebody says, hey, I want to see this, I say, hey, I'm doing showings on Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. Would that time frame work for you? Now, if somebody says, oh, absolutely cannot, well, then you can try and make it happen. But most of the time renters are like, yep, hey, Saturdays are free for me. Yep, no problem. And I will stack up my showings in 15-minute increments. So what does that mean? My first showing is at 2 o'clock. My second showing is at 2:15. My third showing is at 2:30. My fourth showing is at 2:45. And my fifth showing is at 3 o'clock. I can squeeze 5 showings in about an hour. And what does this do? It does a couple different things. Number 1, inevitably, you're always going to get some no-shows. Renters will say, hey, I got to see this. And then they say, oh, family emergency, or oh, I got sick, or most of the time they're just flaky. And you're going to always have some no-shows. That's the nature of the business. But the second thing is when I show somebody right at 2 o'clock and somebody else is coming at 2:15, that person at 2 o'clock is like, whoa, this is a popular property. Hey, if I want to get into this, I'm going to have to apply right away. So it can kind of create that, what I like to call that feeding frenzy, where it's like, oh, fear of missing out. I don't want to miss out on this property. Step number 5. Invite your tenant to apply. When you invite your tenant to apply, first of all, as soon as they say, hey, I'm interested in the application, send it to them right away. This is another big pro of why I like using TurboTenant. I used to have literally sheets of paper where they would have to fill it out, and sometimes they'd be like, oh, I'm going to take it home with me and then send it to you, and it was just a mess. I love TurboTenant because you can literally send them a link to apply to the property, and they can fill it out within about 10 minutes. And when somebody's interested, respond to them ASAP and get them into that rental property, because every day that rental property sits empty for you, you're losing money. And as you look through that application, so they are going to apply, then TurboTenant or whatever software you use, they're going to do a background check, they're going to do a credit check, some of them will even do income verification. And what I'm looking for is, hey, what they told me in the pre-screening questions, is that true? So if they said, hey, I make $4,000 a month, and then I get the income verification and they only make $2,000 a month, well, they lied about that. What are the chances that they're going to lie about, oh, hey, I can't pay rent this month because my nana was in the hospital, or, whatever. I want somebody who has constantly or consistently told me the truth through the whole process. So I'm verifying that they have the income, that they didn't lie to me in the pre-screening questions, and just making sure that there's no discrepancies. If I have any red flag whatsoever, maybe credit's lower than I want, I am not going to rent them the place. If they are right on the cusp where it's like, oh, they're earning $100 less than the 3x that I try and keep to with my business. Hey, it's on the market for $1,000 a month. They need $3,000 a month. Oh, they only make $2,800, but it's close. Nope. Here's what I've learned in rental real estate. Never accept a red flag. If there's one red flag, don't worry about it, move on, find somebody else, because there is an abundance of renters in America today. Step number 6, approve the tenant and sign the lease. Step 6 is the most fun. You get to approve the tenant. You found somebody who's well qualified, they've got good credit, they've got good income. Now you get to sign the lease. Where do I get a lease? Well, there's a ton of places you can get on a lease. I'm not a big fan of getting a lease from just google.com or even ChatGPT or anything like that, because there are state-specific statutes that should be in each individual lease. My software, another reason why I love using TurboTenant, they have lawyers from each individual state draft up their lease, so you can input. They have this thing called a lease builder, and so you put in, hey, here's the rent, here's how long they're renting, and then it builds it out and sends it to them for e-signatures. It's a pretty awesome process, pretty cool product. And so I love that because I don't have to worry, oh, am I keeping in all the statutes that I need to as a part of the lease? No, TurboTenant has me covered from that perspective. And once you sign the lease, you give them the keys and they move in. Step number 7, you manage that rental. Guys, step number 7 is probably the easiest. Once you're managing your own rental property, here's the best thing that I found. When I screen my tenants well, and I make sure that they're making enough money, that they have a good credit score, that they don't have anything in their background check that, is a red flag. When you screen well, you will very rarely get a phone call from them. I would say my average tenant, I'm maybe getting a phone call once or twice a year of, oh, hey, drain's draining a little slowly. Can you send somebody out here? And everything like that. So in step 7, managing the rental your property yourself, it's really not that hard. If I'm gonna say the hardest part of managing the rental property yourself, if you're not handy, okay, you can manage yourself or do the handiwork yourself, but it's finding a good handyman. Typically, handymen are 2 of 3 things. They are either reliable, well-priced, and timely. Typically, pick 2 of the 3. If they're reliable and timely, they're probably not going to be well-priced. My really good, reliable handymen are easily charging me $100 an hour. That's insane. It's really tough to make a ton of money in this business when you're paying $100 an hour. I can get a well-priced and timely handyman, somebody who says, oh yeah, I'll do the work for $20 an hour. I'll show up today. Well, they're not going to be super reliable. They're probably going to do one project for you and then be done. Or when they do the project, I remember I used to do this on Craigslist, just, hey, looking for a general handyman. Found a guy who said, yep, $20 an hour, no problem. And then as soon as he would get done with the project, he'd say, I want to meet, I want to be paid, and I want to be paid in cash right now. And it was like, okay, man, I can't be running around the Twin Cities paying you. Hey, I have no problem dropping a check in the mail or doing Venmo. He's like, no, I don't do Venmo, all that kind of stuff. So if you can find a reliable, well-priced, and timely handyman, you have it made in the shade and you can manage that rental property yourself. So that's it. The 7 steps how to invest in real estate and manage your property yourself for beginners. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below. I will respond to every single one that I possibly can. But again, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button and I will see you guys on the next one.